welcome to our very first session of Let's Talk Agriculture. Today we have with us our Acting Chief Land Use Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, Mr. Trevor Thompson. He's here to give us some pertinent information as to what farmers and the general public at large can do to curb against probably the negative effects that the dry season can have on crops and crop production. Mr. Thompson, welcome.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning to you. And how does it feel to be our very first guest on Let's Talk Agriculture?
Well, it's a humbling experience because to be able to speak to farmers on some of the practices that is necessary to help them in their production is always something that I get joy in doing, to work with them, to help them, to ensure that they suffer no losses, but that they're able to produce to continue supporting their families is of maximum importance to the ministry.
The dry season. This is a time when farmers are kind of on edge as to what would happen to their crops. As it relates to the rainfall outlook for 2020, can you tell us what we can expect?
Based on the precipitation outlook that was prepared by the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology in Barbados, which Grenada is a partner of, and we provide the data we collect in Grenada to help them produce that outlook. The outlook for January to March 2020 is saying that we can expect, there's a probability of us getting 35% below normal rainfall, 35% normal rainfall, and 30% above normal rainfall. So they're saying that there is a 70% probability that we'll get normal to below normal rainfall. What this means is that, for example, if an area, let's say in St. Andrews, would receive 6 inches of rainfall or 10 inches of rainfall, there is a possibility that we only get out of 10, maybe 70% of that rainfall. So there is a 30% deficit that that a 3-inch deficit that needs to be provided to the crops to get the yield that you expect, and that is more important for the farmers who do rain-fed farming, who do not have an irrigation system to be aware of. For those farmers who have irrigation systems, it also means that there's some things that they need to bear in mind, that there will be reduced rainfall, which means that there also will be reduced river flows, or the pond that they're presently using, the levels may drop, and it means that they will have to now be paying more attention to management of the water use on the farm. It also means that for those who do not have irrigation, they would have to look at for the next 3 to 4 months what crops they plant, because it means that if they will not get the kind of rainfall they expect, it will have an impact on crop growth and also yield. It is extremely important that they be aware of this information so that they can be prepared. It's not to cause panic or for them to say, well, it doesn't make sense that I grow. You can still produce crop and get yields, but you have to be managing your water use and also looking at your crop type.
All right, you spoke about reduced rainfall. Can you give us some of the potential impacts that can have on crops and crop production? Okay.
Also, what we are also looking at is not just the rainfall, but also the daytime temperature and even the nighttime temperature. So, for example, the temperature that is given for that same period, February, March, April, it tells us that we're going to have the maximum temperature is going to be around 20% below normal, 35% normal temperature, and 45% above normal temperature. So it means that you have reduced rainfall and higher temperatures. That is also have an impact on moisture content in the soil. It also have an impact on your crop yield. So it means that you would see reduced moisture in the soil. You have higher temperature, so meaning the crops are evapotranspirating. Transpiration is happening, There's evapotranspiration and then there's transpiration, meaning the crops are losing more moisture through their leaves, etc., because they have to respond to that. And if that is not managed, it could have an impact on your yield, right? You could lose some, especially vegetable farmers, cabbages, lettuce, etc. You could lose some other crops, maybe sweet peppers could be impacted. Tomato may do well based on its stage of growth, because too much rainfall is not good for tomato. In fact, they produce when they have a dry period. But some other crops you would expect to maybe to suffer loss. We don't see, based on this precipitation outlook, that we're going to have the impact that we had last year or the year before, when we had it impacting tree crops like citruses, avocados, etc. Farmers lost some of their trees, even coconuts. But its main impact is going to be on the water available in the streams, in ponds, and also could impact on yield.
Wonderful. So, what would you advise farmers to? What could be some of the measures that can be implemented to mitigate against some of the effects in terms of effects on their crops?
Well, for those who have irrigation systems, it's extremely important that you look at your system. You turn on your pump and you walk through. You're looking for all leaks or breaks in the line where you have block drip lines or block micro sprinklers, and you do some maintenance work now. You also check your pump to make sure that it's functioning properly, as it has been serviced recently, etc. Okay, you do not want any breakdown during that period of your pumps, or you have lines that are broken, and the water is not getting to the crops, right? For those farmers who do not have irrigation, you want to seriously consider using some kind of mulch or organic matter to cover your soil, which will help to keep moisture in the soil especially around the plant roots. So you want to take some grass, some dry grass, some compost, some pen manure, etc., and you mix it and cover the soil, because the priority is maintaining soil moisture, is keeping the water in the soil and not losing it through the high daytime temperature and not having enough available for the crop growth and crop production.
Okay, we do not want to spread any negative or give any negative vibe out there to farmers and the general public. But can you tell us, if some of the measures that you just mentioned is not implemented or are not implemented properly, what could be the effects?
Well, of course, the farmer will feel it in his pocket, meaning that if he has 1,000 heads of lettuce or 2,000 heads of cabbage, he will suffer some losses, right? So it is important that you manage your available water, right? Plants can survive with reduced water. They have mechanisms to deal with that. So, for example, when you see a plant is wilting, it's not saying that it's dying. It means that it's just going into a mode where it's conserving moisture, right? But if that continues, then of course you will have death of the crop. So you want to do your watering schedule. So basically, you should develop a schedule how you water. Either you water early in the morning and late in the evening, or you water early in the morning only or late in the evening only. So that especially if you have reduced water available, so that you manage the moisture content in the soil, right? You don't want to over irrigate. You know, sometimes if farmers having the pump running whole day, you can create problems for the soil too. Oversaturation, you're destroying the soil. You're removing your organic matter. If you have applied any small quantity of fertilizer, you're just washing it away. Mm-hmm. So you want to manage that, because everything costs money. If you're running the pump, it costs money, right? So without a need to run it. And then if that is not managed properly, it could have other impacts on the environment downstream for people who use the stream. Other farmers who maybe want water to irrigate, and also the aquatic life in the stream. So you have to keep a balance, and to produce in an area of reduced rainfall, it doesn't mean that that you can still produce and get the same amount of yield, but it's managing your available water, managing your application of water.
What would be the role of the ministry in all of this?
Well, of course, the ministry is there to provide you with technical advice and support in the context of information, making available information to you like this, so that you know that in the next 3 months there's going to be reduced rainfall, and you need to be prepared for that. The outlook is showing that from April to June, that there's going to be 25% below normal, 35% normal, and 40% above normal. Right? So it means that after April going into May, June, we can see an increase in rainfall again. So a wise farmer would heed this kind of information and say, okay, by April I can then start maybe increasing my acreage that based on my water available, and I can maybe look at planting some other crops besides what I was planting that can in that water stress period.
Right. I know you mentioned tomatoes earlier. Are there any other crops that farmers can choose to plant during this time that can yield some monetary benefits to them?
Well, of course, in that reduce they could look at some ground provision, tomato, sweet potatoes, Tanya is a good crop. Sweet peppers, seasoning pepper, they are more hardy and durable. And of course, there are drought-resistant varieties, that farmers could consider. We're still doing the research in that, because we have to know what is suitable for our kind of microclimate in Grenada, and what's suitable for some places in the Middle East or in the US is not suitable for us in terms of our crop. Providing, as I said, they could look at tomatoes is always a good crop for this period, where they have some reduced rainfall. There's less pests and disease affecting it, and some farmers have experience in that. They know what are some of the crops that do well. Maybe some cantaloupe or butternut squash, etc. But it's important that you also match your crop with your available water. So for those who have irrigation, they can almost continue producing. For those who do not, that's where the challenge will be.
For this dry season, is there anything specific that you would want farmers to be mindful of?
Of course, the no-burn policy is still in effect, especially when you have reduced rainfall. People always seem to think that burning is the solution to get rid of organic matter, and that is not true. In fact, if that same organic matter, if you compost it, it has great benefits to your farm. So, and that burning extends not just to farmers, that no burn policy, it's also to residential areas, to householders. We do not want to see you burning and then affecting other people in your neighborhood, other farmers, other householders. So the ministry's no burn policy is in effect. If you is considering that, you should consult with the ministry or your extension division of our extension officers, who will provide guidance to you where that is concerned.
Right. So, Mr. Thompson, is that all you have for us today?
What I want to say is that we can expect this kind of what I would call short mini droughts going forward because of the impacts of climate change, and and it's imperative that farmers learn to adapt. The climate smart agricultural practices are not new practices. They were things that were done traditionally by our forefathers, and they should continue to do that. So keeping windbreaks, keeping your soil covered, using organic matter, ensuring that your drains are cleared, because the drains also serve as an irrigation mechanism, because it holds water that then filters into the soil. We don't have to go for high-tech thing like using plastic mulch, etc. In fact, we discourage that because it becomes an environmental problem after its use, right? And also, investing in irrigation has its benefits, right? And we now see a lot of farmers are considering shade houses, which could be used for certain type of crops. Not all crops will do well in it, and with irrigation, farmers could irrigate almost any crop. Sweet potatoes, dasheen and tania and corn, etc. All of these could be irrigated and need irrigation, and then you can produce right through the year. You don't have to wait until the rain comes to plant. You can plant at any time.
All right. So, Mr. Thompson, thank you very much for joining us today. We are certain that the information that you shared will go a long way with farmers and the general public at large. This brings the curtains down in today's session. Join us next time for another episode of Let's Talk Agriculture. Until next time, I am Carrema Lewis.